Hey there, all you beautiful Broadway babies! Welcome to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Bonanni, and this is our first lesson for the new video series, Broadway 101, taking a brief overview of some of the important people, shows, and lore from the history of musical theater. Today's lesson, students, will be on a woman who came to represent everything Broadway was. Open your books, class, to the chapter Broadway Divas, and let's take a look at Ethel Merman.
Business like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing, everything the traffic will allow. Nowhere could you get that happy feeling when you are stealing that extra bow.
Ethel Merman was big. Ethel Merman was brassy. Ethel Merman was Broadway. Born Ethel Zimmerman in 1908, Miss Merman started out as a stenographer who dreamed of being a singer. While most singers at the time had lilting, semi-operatic voices, Ethel Merman was one of the original queens of belting. Never having had a single singing lesson in her life, Merman's brash, self-taught style cut through the brassy new jazz-age music like few had managed to do before.
Watch me, and you will find that I just won't be left behind, for the time marches on with his head up high, and so do I.
In 1926, Merman was forced to have an emergency tonsillectomy, and she feared it would damage her hearty vocals. But in fact, it only made her voice stronger. By 1929, Merman was under contract with Warner Brothers while also appearing in New York nightclubs alongside people like Jimmy Durante. Her first big career break came in 1930 when she finally was put in a Warner Brothers film titled Follow the Leader, replacing original star Ruth Etting. That same year, Ethel Merman was booked to play the mecca of all Broadway houses, the Palace Theater. What would have been a high point for most performers' careers at the time, her engagement at the Palace was just the beginning. Seated in the audience of Miss Merman's final Palace performance was renowned Broadway producer Vinton Friedley. Mr. Friedley was impressed with Ethel and asked her to audition for the new Broadway musical he was producing called Girl Crazy, with a score by none other than George and Ira Gershwin. While auditioning, Ethel was asked to sing a song from the new show, and upon hearing her belt out the jazzy number, they hired her on the spot, where she would sing that same song nightly to great acclaim.
I got rhythm, I got music, I got my man who could ask for anything more. I got daisies in green pastures, I got my man who could ask for anything more. Who could ask for anything more?
After Girl Crazy, Ethel Merman appeared on Broadway in shows like George White's Scandals of 1931, where she introduced the song Life is Just a Bowl of Cherries, and the musical Take a Chance, also in 1931, alongside future Tin Man Jack Haley. Her next major career milestone came in 1934, when she was cast as Reno Sweeney in Cole Porter's new musical, Anything Goes. Reno Sweeney, an evangelical preacher turned nightclub singer, introduced the classic show tunes I Get a Kick Out of You, You're the Top, Blow Gabriel Blow, and the show's title song.
In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking. Now heaven knows, anything goes. Good authors too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words, writing prose. Anything goes.
Ethel Merman was now a bona fide Broadway sensation and continued to appear in shows throughout the 1930s and 40s, mostly by Cole Porter, like Red Hot and Blue, Dewberry Was a Lady, Panama Hattie, and Something for the Boys. After the Rodgers and Hammerstein revolution in the early 1940s, Broadway was quickly changing to integrated musicals, leaving the loosely connected shows of the last decade behind. But Ethel Merman's star only grew brighter in this new age of American musical theater. She starred as Annie Oakley in the original 1946 production of Annie Get Your Gun, lending her signature style to the show's Irving Berlin score with songs like You Can't Get a Man with a Gun, Doin' What Comes Naturally, and I Got the Sun in the Mornin'.
Got no diamonds, got no pearls, still I think I'm a lucky girl. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. Got no mansion, got no yacht, still I'm happy with what I got. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night.
In 1950, Miss Merman starred as socialite Sally Adams, a U.S. ambassador, in Irving Berlin's Call Me Madam. The show was another hit for the Merm, with songs like The Hostess with the Mostess on the Ball, and the number You're Just in Love, a duet with actor Russell Knipe.
You don't need anyone, there's no one there. I smell blossoms in the trees are bare. All day long I seem to walk there. I wonder why.
Merman was on top of the world in terms of her craft and career, and one of the most beloved women on Broadway. But Ethel Merman wanted something more, something the theater just couldn't give her. She longed for a normal life of domesticity. After the successful run of Call Me Madam and starring in the film adaptation of the show, Ethel had married her third husband, Robert Six, the CEO of Continental Airlines. Ethel wanted to settle down with her 2 kids from a previous marriage in Colorado and to be a mom and wife to her family away from the spotlight. This did not sit well with her new husband, however. Bob Six had married Ethel Merman, the star, not some housewife, as he so lovingly put it. He wanted the limelight and publicity and had planned on his marriage to a top Broadway star helping to publicize his business ventures. So when a script for a new musical by a bunch of unknowns called Happy Hunting arrived, Bob Six pressured his wife immensely to take the job and get back on the stage. Reluctantly, Miss Merman acquiesced to her new husband and took the role. Happy Hunting was an all-around unpleasant experience for Miss Merman. She felt the score by an unknown team of Harold Carr and Matt Doobie was weak, and she frequently butted heads with her co-star, Fernando Lamas. So much so that she tried to have Mr. Lamas brought up on charges with Actors Equity. If you do want to know more about the crazy drama offstage, as well as a full account of what happened on stage, you can check out my Broadway breakdown of Happy Hunting. For her next project, she was approached by producers David Merrick and Leland Howard about a musical adaptation of the memoir of burlesque queen Gypsy Rose Lee, with music and lyrics by an up-and-coming Stephen Sondheim. Miss Merman, though, not being able to see the future, obviously, was not about to do another show with an untested composer and risk another Happy Hunting situation, so the producers had to compromise. Stephen Sondheim would stay on as lyricist, as he had been for West Side Story, but musical comedy legend Julie Stein was brought on for the music. Gypsy, which opened at the Broadway Theater on May 21st, 1959, is regarded today as one of the greatest musicals ever written. The character of Madame Rose, whom Ethel Merman helped create, is the apex of roles for women in musical theater, with dozens of the world's best musical theater actresses following in Ethel's footsteps in the role. Miss Merman received rave reviews for her star turn and the Tony nomination for Best Actress, but Ethel would lose that year to her good friend Mary Martin for her portrayal of Maria von Trapp in the original production of Sound of Music. As Ethel herself once put it, how can you buck a nun? Though Ethel Merman was a Broadway broad through and through, she of course made her way into a few movies throughout her career. Some notable film work includes There's No Business Like Show Business, the Irving Berlin jukebox movie musical from 1954, co-starring Dan Daly, Donald O'Connor, and Marilyn Monroe, as well as It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, the epic comedy film from 1963 with a crazy huge ensemble cast. Ethel Merman also had an extensive career guest starring on popular TV shows like an iconic episode of The Muppet Show, That Girl, The Love Boat, and a hilarious episode of The Lucy Show where Miss Merman played herself.
I'm going to teach you to sing like Ethel Merman.
In 1 hour?
Why not? All All you have to do is sing loud and sound nasal. I got rhythm, I got rhythm, I got rhythm. Who can ask for anything more?
That's the way Ethel Merman sings?
Sure, haven't you ever watched her in a Broadway musical?
Would you believe it? I never have.
Miss Merman also had a 3-episode arc on the classic 1966 campy comic book TV show Batman, playing that well-known fearsome villain Lola Lasagna.
And you'll be declared permanently incarcerated. You too, Lulu Schultz.
Lulu Schultz. I am Senora Lola Lasagna.
In a penguin's tail feathers.
Her last film role was a small but iconic cameo in the comedy classic Airplane from 1980, where Ethel played Lieutenant Horowitz, a poor, delusional, shell-shocked soldier.
What's his problem?
It's Lieutenant Hurwitz. Severe shell shock. Thinks he's Ethel Merman.
You'll be swell. You'll be great. Gonna have the whole world on a plate. Starting here, starting now. Honey, everything's coming up right.
War is hell.
After Gypsy, Miss Merman returned to the Broadway stage 2 more times in her life. She reprised her role as Annie Oakley in a 1966 revival of Annie Get Your Gun, and in 1970, Ethel Merman would be the final Dolly Gallagher Levi in the original production of Hello, Dolly. Way back in 1964, producer David Merrick had instructed the show's composer and lyricist, Jerry Herman, to tailor the score specifically to Ethel Merman. But when she was approached for the role, she turned it down, and it famously went to Carol Channing. She would, as I mentioned, eventually take over the role in the musical's 6th year on Broadway, a return to the stage met with thunderous applause and some of the best reviews of her career.
I'm gonna raise the roof. I'm gonna carry on. Give me an old trombone. Give me an old baton before the parade passes by.
Miss Merman retired from the Broadway stage after Hello, Dolly. She was quoted as saying, "Broadway's been very good to me, but then I've been very good to Broadway." Ethel Merman received a special Tony Award in 1972 honoring her career and appeared at Carnegie Hall in 1982, her last major public appearance. Ethel Merman was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor, and the legendary performer passed away in her home in New York City on February 15th, 1984.
Who could ask for anything more? Who could ask for anything more?
I'll tell you guys, there are so many incredible stories about Ethel Merman. Some of the funniest anecdotes you'll ever hear, most of which involve very adult language. But I do highly encourage you to seek out more information about this incredible woman, performer, and Broadway icon. I wish I could share more here, but these are just meant to be short videos. I think maybe I'll share my favorite ribald Ethel Merman story with my patrons on Patreon if that's something that might interest you. However, there is so much amazing history there to learn, and I didn't even get to the Ethel Merman disco album. Yeah, that's real. That's real. If you do want to learn more, there are several books written about Miss Merman. She herself wrote 2 autobiographies. The first called Who Could Ask for Anything More, which was released in 1955, and the second, released in 1978, was simply called Merman, an Autobiography. I would definitely start with those 2. In her second autobiography, the chapter about her later marriage to actor Ernest Borgnine is incredible. If you know, you know. As for biographies, there's Brass Diva by Carol Flynn, Ethel Merman, A Life by Brian Kello, I Got Rhythm, The Ethel Merman Story by Bob Thomas, and Ethel Merman, The Biggest Star on Broadway by Jeffrey Mark. If you learned something today, students, it would really mean a lot to me if you would hit that like button and the subscribe button as well so you'll never miss a class. And if you already knew everything in today's lesson, hit that like button anyway. What are you doing? If you want to test your theater trivia skills, I've got a new episode of Broadway Jeopardy out every Thursday on the channel. If you want to learn more about a particular star, creator, or show, or really anything musical theater history related, be sure to let me know in the comments and I'll add it to the list of future lesson plans. Of course, there would be no school at all without my incredible patrons over on Patreon. You guys are my sun in the morning and my moon at night. If you want to help support the channel and maybe get some extra more adult stories from theater history from time to time, head on over and check out my Patreon using the link in the video description, where you can find a link to my merch shop as well. If you want to connect outside of our YouTube classroom, you can follow me over on Blue Sky and Instagram at bwayghostlight. But until next class, my perfectly marvelous pupils, I'm Mark Bonanni. This is Broadway by Ghostlight. Class dismissed. Take us home, Ethel.
There's no